My mother often reminds me that when I was 3 years old, living in Bangladesh, that I wanted to come to America. Now, given what is happening in the United States right now with Donald Trump's rise to power, I am really happy that I ended up here in Canada. 2016 actually marks my 10-year anniversary in this country, and over the past 10 years, I've transitioned from being an international student to a permanent resident to a Canadian citizen. My journey mirrors the hopes and dreams of thousands of international students who've left their home countries to come to Canada to seek an education, to seek employment and opportunities. However, that dream is becoming harder and harder to achieve because of Canada's changing laws on citizenship and immigration. As such, my research looks at the relationships between Canada's federal policies on citizenship and immigration and the internationalization of Canadian higher ed as it relates to international student recruitment and retention. My research journey began in 2014 when Stephen Harper's Conservative government introduced restrictive reforms to Canada's citizenship and immigration laws. The fear was that these laws would make it difficult for international students to access employment, permanent residency, and ultimately citizenship, and would also make Canada an unattractive place for future international students to come and study. Now, even though the Liberal government has made promises to change the laws, the reality is that for many international students, the dream of becoming a Canadian citizen seems far out of reach. From my analysis of policy documents, along with interviews with university administrators and international graduate students, I am now able to highlight some of these challenges. International graduate students find the changing laws confusing and difficult to navigate, saying that it places an undue burden on their already stressful academic lives. Many have a very difficult time accessing employment services and also permanent residency, and thus are forced to look for employment opportunities outside of Canada after they've received Canadian training and credentials. This puts Canada at a loss. Administrators, on the other hand, spend time, money, and resources adapting and coping with these changes as opposed to being able to work on the university's internationalization goals. Both groups have warned that these restrictive policies and sweeping reforms will only make it more difficult for Canada to compete with other competitor countries like the United States, Australia, and the UK that are already major global hubs for international students, and emerging competitor countries like France, Germany, and Singapore, where more and more international students go to study. Ladies and gentlemen, the research that I'm doing is important, and it's important because internationalization is important, not just to Canadian universities, but also to Canada. The Canadian federal government has already highlighted international education as one of the key drivers for Canada's future prosperity, and just a few weeks ago, the immigration minister said that international students were the perfect migrants to bring into Canada for its economic success in the future. In order for us to achieve that vision, we need to look at policies more carefully. We need to look at policies around citizenship, immigration, and internationalization in a relational context to understand where they're aligned and where they're misaligned. And only then, with that knowledge in hand, can we help Canada achieve excellence on the world stage. Thank you.